I am Pops, and I'm going to talk about, are you ready? Flick show, The Pale Blue Eye. That's right, Christian Bale. I was told this was a Western. Y'all lied. Not a Western. It's a mystery. And spoilers are going to abound because you can't talk about a film like this without talking about spoilers. There's no way that I can discuss uh, positive or negatives with the story or plot and twists and turns without spoiling things. And I will have another spoiler warning when I get to another big thing. So if you want to know a little bit about things, I'll go a little bit. It will be kind of generic story stuff, not the big twists or things like that. So if you want to hang with me for a minute, I get it. And I'll give you another spoiler warning when I get closer to things that matter, right? So the beginning is a lot of setup. 1830, Augustus Landor, retired detective, drinks too much, widow, daughter ran off. Military shows up and says, listen, we got a murder. One of our cadets, he was hanging and his heart's been cut out post-mortem. So we need you to tell them and help us figure this out. Your country needs you was kind of like the spiel. It was very kind of almost like, I don't know. It wasn't really as believable as like a, hey, let's get you to come out of retirement to take care of this mystery, Christian Bale. Anyway, so it's really like Murder, She Wrote. It's like a lot of the little whodunit type of things as far as rope marks and his hands. And it's almost also like the mockery of the medical examiner was really so bad. Like, so there's a rigged hand and he's breaking the finger, so it's played for the cringe moment, but there's like a piece of a note in the hand, and I thought to myself, how would the Emmy couldn't have like, and there's like he lifts the head out of an ice thing later, and there's this big gash in the head, and this is the worst medical examination in the history of medical examination. Like I don't even understand why he wouldn't have told the military guy, the captain, colonel, whoever, listen, you got to fire this guy. He stinks at his job. He didn't catch anything going on with this case. Anyway, then you have sort of like this really awkward pacing because it's just like talk about it, and then we're doing it. There was no real lead up. The pacing was very abrupt to get started into finding clues and piecing things together of what happened to this cadet. You know, who was the guard, why they leave their post, what did you see, that kind of thing. Now, the other main character in the story is also a cadet and also a real life person. It gets a little odd. It is Edgar Allan Poe, played by the dude who's not fat anymore, Dudley from Harry Potter. And I'm like, okay. Very educated. Loves metaphors, loves poetry, talks a lot about things, loves detective work, right? And you're having different interviews and things being pieced together. There's other murders, there's animals and livestock being murdered with also the heart being removed, so obviously it's likely related. They start going down the rabbit hole of sort of like other conspiracy theories, like could it be something supernatural in the sense of you have someone that's into black magic and they go, I don't know why this guy's last name was Pepe. Robert Duvall plays this guy, and doesn't really look like Robert Duvall, but that's who it is. Anyway, there's a book, and the book kind of takes them on another mission of what this could be with the black magic thing, right? The hearts of hanged men and unbaptized children and all those kinds of things, right? And then we get to the other characters that really matter. It's the doctor's family. There's a son and a daughter and the wife, all those kinds of things. So mild spoilers, still not into major things. We're getting into a little bit because you sort of get into their interactions between Landor investigating and this family, particularly the mom. And it is very awkward and strange. And then you get introduced. The daughter's name is Leah. And she's the one that everyone is really smitten over, especially Poe. So when the next cadet is missing, it starts to be like, okay, so we have like a serial killer thing going here, right? And then Poe's friendships and allegiances get called into question. And you have really kind of one of the best scenes and the only really good scene of conflict between the two of them until the end of the film, with figuring out who can trust who and why, and how it makes it resolve their issues where we can't have lies between us because we don't know who else to trust. If we can't trust one another, what are we going to do? We can't keep doing this, right? And I will say there is a great line in the movie about this situation is a blight on the legacy of the academy. And the military person takes offense to this and says, by that logic, every crime committed by a Christian is a stain on Christ. And Christian Bale says, so it is. And I thought to myself, it's an offensive line in a way, but it's also a 100% true lie as well. Like every time a sin is done by a Christian, it's a blight of Christ. And it's like, you're representing that. I'm like, that's pretty good. I'm glad you worked that in. So that's good. So this is all playing to really well through Poe and how Poe has been treated by the other cadets. You have the nature of the bully and the ridicule that happens at the academy, right? And that leads us right into the awkwardness of the dinner with the doctor's family. Okay, spoilers ahead. Big spoilers, big twists, that all stuff. Now we're going to start getting into it with this dinner, because once we get to the dinner, there's no way to kind of talk about it to completion and not give you enough of the breadcrumbs of where we're going. Okay, so you've been warned. Thanks for watching. If you dip out, got it. You come back. Okay, so we have this dinner. And the dinner is getting more and more awkward, and to the point where the mom just throws an outburst and just leaves. And it's very strange. And you end up having this scene where Landor is going to go visit the Robert Duvall character and realize that they're missing this devil worshiper book, the sister book to the other black magic book. Well, who has the book? The doctor has the book. So the doctor's family is tied to this. These kids are the ones that are performing this black magic ritual. They've actually drugged Poe, tied him down. He's the next victim, right? They're there ready to cut the heart out, right? Landor is going through all of this, explaining all this stuff. And when he bursts in the barn, a fire gets started. He actually rescues Poe, fighting with Artemis, and the roof and stuff starts to cave in. It kills Leah and Artemis, and they die. So when the military finds all this, they realize, okay, they were the ones who did it. Now, it really is pretty straightforward, and that's kind of, it wasn't terrible, it wasn't good, it wasn't bad at that point. You check your clock, and you're like, there's 20 minutes left. What? There's no characters left. This is when a movie either falls apart or becomes really, really good. Can it become like Usual Suspects, where the twist is so good that it knocks it out of the park and it just makes you want to watch the movie again to pick up on all the pieces of things that you missed? Or does it completely fall apart and you're like, why did I watch this? What do you think happened here? I thought to myself, it's Christian Bale. He really has been very unimpressive at this point. He really hasn't had a chance to really spread his wings and be the character, like really get into something. It's going to get really, really good, right? No, it does not. The twist is that he did it. That suddenly there's this whole big backstory. Fortunately, there's no twin, by the way, but it's almost that bad. It's this whole Murder, She Wrote backstory. The daughter had gotten violated, and this is a revenge story. And when Landor was killing the one cadet, the other person walked up, so he did this, which led into the other one and another one. And it's just like Poe had pieced together the handwriting on a couple of notes and confronts him. The daughter never ran off. The daughter was so shamed by all of this that she jumped off a cliff. And you're like, what? And then it's like, well, what was happening with the kids then? Like, why were they doing the ceremony exactly the way that Landor did the murder then? That makes like zero sense. Like, so are there two different murders happening? And if so, are they related? Not related? Is it a coincidence? Like, if this is this not the first time they've been doing their black magic ceremonies? And if not, why now? Like, nothing makes a lot of sense to me. I didn't hate all of this at first, but as I keep thinking about it, the worse it just keeps getting. Christian Bale's performance is very unimpressive by his standards. He's so good in so many roles, and in this, it's okay. And that's not Christian Bale's standard. His standard is super good, and there's no real transformation here, right? I mean, sure, it's like he's betting some random tavern, I guess owner. I guess she owns the tavern. He's sleeping with her, but she's just there. Like, we don't have any reason. I don't even know her name. I could look it up, but I don't really know her name. Like, it just doesn't matter, right? I can't handle Dudley as Poe. He's just so dopey looking. There's this scene where Leah's having a seizure, and it's supposed to be deep or whatever, and it's just like Dudley looking like a dope. Like, he does not have it. The pacing is weird. It's just there's so many things that don't really work for me. The best scene, he's not good in most of the scenes, but he's really, really good. And that's when Toby Jones, who plays the medical examiner, is confronted about the book, and he's having this breakdown. He's talking about his daughter. He's talking about, imagine being a dad and not knowing you're hopeless. You've exhausted everything in your scientific background and all of your training, and nothing is good enough. You can't help your daughter. That scene was good. Not good enough for me to recommend the movie. Not good enough for the amount of time I committed to this movie. Shame on them for getting me that far down the rabbit hole. I was so disappointed, and I wish I could tell you that I'm not disappointed, because I am. So, I am Pops. Maybe you love the film. Tell me where I'm wrong. Explain to me the dual murder scenarios and how this remotely makes some sense. Like, I don't. If he was doing the murders, then why are they doing this to Poe? I don't. It wasn't their first rodeo. I don't know. I don't know. I got nothing.